You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, local brewery starts new fundraising opportunity.
Plus, a look inside Montmoy High School's robotics team.
And we talk to our very own Kate McMahon about Cape Media Center's PSA Days.
These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News.
Good evening and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Jamie Horton.
And I'm Suzanne Tenaire. Last week, locals gathered in Hyannis to chase the cold away with an age-old tradition, drinking beer. Cape Cod Beer's first celebrity beer tender night brought in a crowd ready to raise a glass and some funds for local nonprofit Cape Cod Young Professionals. News director Mitch Sock has more.
I feel like this is my return to the industry in some ways. I grew up in the Cape Cod restaurant industry, so when Leanne asked to pour beers on the, at an iconic place, I was like, for so many reasons, yes, this is going to be very fun.
Last Thursday, members of Cape Cod Young Professionals stepped behind the bar at this month's Celebrity Beer Tenders. Their mission? Raising scholarship funds for local young professionals, one pint at a time.
We've been trying to figure out ways, to keep people coming in the off season. The major goal was to keep our charities and nonprofits involved on the Cape. We do a lot of nonprofit events, but we were trying to find another way that we could do things and keep the costs lower. With that, we started to get the ball rolling by picking some of the charities that we work closely with, and CCYP is one of them.
The idea started as a way to make fundraising more accessible, allowing individuals or groups to turn an ordinary night at the brewery into a benefit for a cause of their choice.
I mean, if you have any hesitations about going out in the frigid cold right now and being exposed to the darkest of nights on the Cape, there's so many good reasons to come. Other people, great charities, good beer, that's the whole message.
We scheduled 3 out, and then my phone's been ringing off the hook. People are really interested in doing it, so.
I had 4 people say, Leanne texted me to see if I was interested. Will you let me know how it goes?
Yeah.
They're trying to get on the list and get the inside scoop.
And
so
that was
it's already very popular.
It was, I did have to organize a few people first, right?
Yeah.
So I just to get it going. So I was reaching out to everybody, and it's funny because all of the celebrities say they're not celebrities. So.
Yeah. That's actually really relieving because I was like, please don't put my name on that.
Yeah. So they're very humble, but
yeah,
it's turned out to have a great response so far.
For those who missed out, Cape Cod Beer is always looking for new celebrity beer tenders. Whether it's for a nonprofit, a milestone, or just for fun, those interested could reach out to schedule their own fundraising night at capecodbeer.com. And be sure to check out upcoming celebrity beer tender events to support more great causes. February 6th to support DY Dolphin Fund, February 13th to support the Mark Hennessy Foundation, and March 6th to support Cape Wellness Collaborative. For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.
This season's Artist Spotlight at Barnstable Town Hall features Barnstable High School junior and senior AP art students. This student exhibition is a celebration of creativity, dedication, and self-driven exploration. The artwork, showcased in the James H. Crocker Jr. Hearing Room on the 2nd floor of Town Hall, represents the culmination of months of experimentation, practice, and thoughtful revision. Each student developed a unique body of work centering around a personal theme to reflect their individual passions and perspectives. While this is part of the AP Studio Art class, the artwork is in a variety of media and disciplines, including fine arts, animation, ceramics, fashion design, and digital photography. This exhibition highlights not just the final pieces, but the journey of growth, problem-solving, and discovery that defines students' artistic achievements. You can view this exhibit for free Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. until March 28th. Make sure to check the Town of Barnstable's public meeting calendar to ensure you visit when the room is open.
Mass Audubon is hosting the Youth Climate Summit on February 6th at the 204 Cultural Arts Center in Harwich. High school students from across Cape Cod are invited to spend the day focusing on climate action and resiliency. The summit will include breakout sessions led by local sustainability experts, a mock town hall meeting debating a relevant climate issue, and the opportunity to meet grassroots climate organizers in our community. Mass Audubon's Youth Climate Leadership Program is a youth-led, action-oriented climate action immersion program. In partnership with local schools, research institutions, and universities, the YCLP pairs youth with experts and mentors to guide innovative climate action. Learn more about this program at massaudubon.org/YCLP.
The Barnstable County Sheriff's Office announces a new, free-of-charge Public Safety Explorer program for students ages 10 to 14. This program is good for students who may be interested in learning more about public safety fields. During this program, explorers will learn about leadership, decision-making, and teamwork through interactive sessions focused on team building. They'll be educated about law enforcement, public safety, and community service by members of those respective professions. Throughout the week, students will meet presenters from the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office Bureau of Criminal Investigation, K-9 officers, training staff, and police officers from several departments. They'll get tours of the Barnstable Police Station, Hyannis Fire Station, the Barnstable County Regional Emergency Communications Center, and the Barnstable Superior Courthouse. Each day will be filled with educational activities designed to equip the next generation with a variety of tools to be successful while having fun. There will be 2 sessions, one during school winter break and the other during spring break. While the deadline to apply for the February session has passed, keep an eye on the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office page for updates on the spring session. For any questions, you can email youthprograms@bsheriff.net.
Cape Cod Hospital has received verification as a Level 3 trauma center after successfully meeting requirements set forth by the American College of Surgeons. This distinction reflects the hospital's ability to provide a high level of critical care for trauma patients, greatly decreasing the time to treatment and increasing the chances of survival for those who have sustained life-threatening injuries. Cape Cod Healthcare President and CEO Michael K. Luff said that there's nothing more important in this community than being able to save someone's life when every minute matters. The development of this trauma center at Cape Cod Hospital represents our unwavering commitment to the highest quality care for our residents and visitors. That's not all Cape Cod Hospital has been up to. The new Edwin Barbie Patient Care Pavilion will open this spring. The first 2 floors of the pavilion will house the Davenport-Mugar Cancer Center, with the first floor offering advanced radiation oncology treatments and the second floor providing 36 private infusion bays and oncology exam rooms. Floor 3 will be a unit dedicated to cardiac care for patients with heart-related procedures, as well as those recovering from interventional and surgical procedures in 31 patient rooms.
In just 3 years, the Monomoy High School robotics team is pursuing their 2nd regional championship qualification this season. To learn more about how robotic teams operate, we spoke with one of their coaches ahead of their qualifying tournament on Saturday. Take a look.
What comes to mind when you think of team sports? There's plenty out there, but right now, you're probably thinking about the Super Bowl next week. For students and faculty on the Monomoy Regional High School robotics team, competitive sport looks a little different from football.
I have coached several sports, and I have to say that it's unlike any other sport I've ever coached in that there is a lot of camaraderie and a lot of cooperation between teams. They'll go into the pits and they'll look at each other robots and they'll help each other out with solutions and problems. So it's really kind of a really unique opportunity for the kids to work on something that we cover a lot in our engineering classes, which is their team working and critical thinking skills.
Though a robotics team operates very differently from a football team, it demands the same amount of time, effort, collaboration, and attention that any other sport requires, and the robotics students are nothing if not hardworking.
We have a lot of kids some of the kids who are really into it will be here early every morning because we don't start school till 8:45. And then we have kids stay after, like I have kids out in the shop now working on their robots. We have kids who will stay after school. We've had the kids request to stay late nights a couple times. We've done till like 10 o'clock at night.
While sharing many similarities, robotics diverges from other team sports in interesting and fun ways. Since engineering is the core of robotics, it involves more creativity and freedom than traditional sports.
We give you a project to do something, and usually generally as a rule in engineering, here's a problem. And that's the same thing as robotics is. Here's a course. Here's the things you need to do to score points. So you have a problem. Come up with a solution to the problem. And when I tell kids in robotics, and it's the same thing we want to see, is we don't generally see, like we have 4 very different robots on our 4 different teams. And most of that's because I tell engineering kids, I don't want to say design a windmill and see 4 identical windmills. I want kids to think outside the box and challenge themselves. And when they challenge themselves, sometimes they fail. And we try to tell them all the time, failure is always an option. And we learn more from failure than we actually learn from success.
And students will be putting this process of trial and error to the test tomorrow during the VEX V5 high-stakes showdown in the Shark Tank, where 24 teams from across Massachusetts will gather to compete.
The tournament is here at Monomoy Regional High School, hosted in the cafeteria, which is around the back of the school through the community entrance. The venue is opening at 7 a.m. Teams will be arriving, checking in. Their robots have to be inspected and make sure they meet all the requirements. And sometimes that ends up with a kid having to go back to the pits, which we have tables set up for them to go back, take something off their robot, put something else on it, whatever. We're going to start competition about 9 o'clock. We hope to be done by 5. What we're trying to do is you're trying to compete to get moved on to qualify for the what used to be the regional competition. Now they actually have a state competition just for Massachusetts. So that's what our students are trying to move towards.
So show up and show some support for Monomoy students as they strive to qualify for a second year in a row for the Southern New England Regional Championship competition. You won't want to miss this impressive display of ingenuity. For Cape Media News, I'm Kelly McKenna.
Coming up after the break, meeting recaps. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News.
This week's meeting recap takes a look at Harwich, Chatham, and Barnstable. News director Mitch Sock has more.
In Harwich, the meeting kicked off with an update from Town Clerk Emily Mitchell about the upcoming 2025 town election. Nomination papers are now available, and voters have until April 25th to register for both the town meeting and election. In community updates, the board highlighted a lineup of February events at the community center, including art workshops, a pirate-themed giveaway, trivia night, and laser tag. Plus, by popular demand, Fun Pants Fridays are making a comeback. Next, the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce presented a revised proposal for the Tourism Destination Marketing District, which would impose a 1.5% fee on hotel stays to fund tourism marketing in Harwich. While the Wauquasit Resort is currently the only hotel affected, the board requested additional details before making a decision. The board also set a timeline for the fiscal year 26 budget process, aiming to have initial figures ready by February 10th. Additionally, contracts for record digitization and community action plan were approved. Other highlights included public comments on tree removal and road safety, updates on the ongoing recruitment for the IT director position, and a plan to address the recent town website outage. Over in Chatham, the Select Board tackled several agenda items this week, and first up, the Community Housing Partnership proposed a significant step forward in affordable housing. Chair Carol McLean recommended that Chatham join the Seasonal Communities Affordable Homes Act, which would give priority housing access to municipal workers and commercial fishermen, similar to a measure recently approved in Nantucket. The board voted to draft a home rule petition to move the initiative forward. Next, a major public hearing was held for a new seasonal all-alcoholic beverages license for Now Mizu Ramen, a 35-seat ramen and sake bar coming to 643 Main Street. Restaurant manager Michael Jessic shared his plans to start with dinner service before expanding. After some discussion, the board approved the request. The board also reviewed the fiscal year 26 operating and capital budgets for public safety, public works, and water services. The fire department presented a $5 million budget with grant funding supporting equipment and safety programs. The police department reported an increase in criminal offenses, but a decline in overall calls for service. Their capital requests included new vehicles, taser replacements, and firearm upgrades. The DPW outlined a $7.7 million budget to cover road maintenance, facility improvements, and public works equipment. Another key discussion came from the Shellfish Advisory Committee, where Chair Bob Davis voiced strong opposition to expanding commercial aquaculture in Chatham, citing concerns over public access to waterways. The board agreed, emphasizing that reduced public parking at Sears Point Landing will never happen again. Looking ahead to community events, the board approved road closures for 2 major road races, the 44th Annual Chatham Harbor Run on June 22nd and the 8th Annual Chatham in the Fall 10K on November 23rd. In other business, the board made 2 new committee appointments. Robert Wilson joins the Historical Commission as an alternate member, and Robert Guinea was appointed to the Railroad Museum Committee. Finally, Town Manager Jill Goldsmith provided updates on the fiscal year 26 budget process and reminded residents about the annual town meeting on May 10th. And unfortunately, we were unable to fully review last night's town council meeting in Barnstable in time for this episode. So tune in next week to catch the update for Barnstable. And that's it for this week. For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.
Coming up after the break, sports and more. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News.
In today's fast-paced media landscape, it can be difficult for nonprofits to know how to get their message out there. That's why we, here at the Cape Media Center, strive to offer PSA days to help the nonprofits in our community best tell their stories. We sat down with the Cape Media Center's very own Kate McMahon to tell us more.
PSA Day is a public service announcement day, and we work with area nonprofits to help them create a message that they can share within our community. We actually have over 900 nonprofits on the Cape. We have an amazing community that is quite engaged in things that are important to them. We work with nonprofits to help them create a message that's 30 to 60 seconds long to grab people's attention to what they do and why they are so worthy of their attention. Our nonprofits have used their PSAs on their websites, social media, e-newsletters. They've also used them to warm up potential new board members. We do have a pre-production protocol that we like to follow. That just helps them be prepared and not be anxious coming into a studio. For many of these folks, it's the first time in front of a camera. And there's a couple ways that we help them feel more comfortable. Number one, in advance of them actually coming to the media center, we will go through their script with them, have them verbalize it, talk to them about, what they should wear, smile more, whatever things we think will make the PSA stronger. So once they actually come into the studio, they're already comfortable with what they're going to say. Number two, we always schedule a time frame a little bit longer than necessary because we want to bring them into the studio, let them get comfortable to the space, and then make sure the lighting and sound works okay. And if at that point they're still uncomfortable looking into a camera, then more than likely I will stand next to the camera and they can look at me. The best way to start would just be to send me an email, and then we can schedule a time to chat. Or if they'd like to come in and visit the Media Center, we can schedule a time for that too. Meet the rest of our staff, who's going to be on crew the day of PSA Day, and then of course visit the studio where we'll be recording.
Have you taken a polar plunge yet this year? Don't worry, there's still plenty of opportunities to brave the cold in the name of giving. On February 16th at 12 p.m., join sponsor Polar Seltzer and the Great Blizzards of Massachusetts Special Hockey for their first annual fundraising event. The Polar Seltzer Plunge will kick off at 12 p.m. at Craigville Beach. Arrive early to enjoy the pre-event festivities, including music, food trucks, costume contests, and more. Donors contributing $25 or more will receive an exclusive event T-shirt. This event will raise funds to support individuals with cognitive, intellectual, developmental, or physical disabilities in enjoying the sport of ice hockey. Later that week, join the Cape Cod Marine Corps on Saturday, February 22nd at West Dennis Beach. Voluntary contributions of $25 per plunger are suggested, as all proceeds will benefit veterans right here on Cape Cod.
Monomoy Regional School District has announced they will be undertaking an equity audit to support belonging and engagement. The equity audit, which will solicit feedback from faculty, students, parents and caregivers, and community members on school culture and leadership, will be conducted in partnership with the Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium. The audit will include all Monomoy schools. The MAEC has worked with school districts and organizations across the county, including Falmouth and Martha's Vineyard schools in recent years. This audit is supported by the Monomoy Regional School Committee, with Superintendent Dr. Scott Carpenter saying that Monomoy holds up dignity and belonging as part of its core values, and we know that students who feel that they belong are better positioned for success in school and beyond. The equity audit will allow us to reflect on the practices and structures that may be preventing some students from fully accessing learning opportunities. The equity audit process will provide an opportunity for the school district to evaluate and celebrate areas of strength, as well as identify areas of needed growth. This project is largely funded by the U.S. Department of Education through the Equity Assistance Center.
The Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office has begun their new program, The DA and Us. Through this program, small groups from each town across the Cape will meet periodically with a community engagement officer to discuss important topics unique to each community. The DA's office recognizes that Barnstable, Dukes, and Nantucket counties encompass 23 individual towns, all of which have needs that differ from the neighboring communities. District Attorney Rob Galliboy believes that in order to pursue its core mission to promote public safety, the office needs to be integrated with the communities it serves. To ensure the office is providing adequate support to each town, they need members of the community to join these town-based coalitions and be proactive in accomplishing necessary change in our hometowns. If you or someone you know would like to learn more about the DA and Us program, call the DA's office at 508-362-8113 or email Community Engagement Officer Kelly Quealy at kelly.quealy@mass.gov. And lastly this evening, to Ryan Downs with a recap of This Week in Sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News Sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. It was a busy week as the season winds down, so let's check out our teams and see how they did. Barnstable boys hosted the 9-1 Falmouth last Friday, before handing them their second loss and first conference loss with a final score of 62-46. With that win, and the amount of games remaining on their schedule, they have secured a spot in the state tournament, regardless of how the rest of their games pan out. On Monday, they traveled to New Bedford and pushed their win streak to 9 games.
I don't know about you.
They currently have an overall record of 11-3 and were ranked 25th in Division I rankings. Last week, when we checked in on the DY boys, their season was really up in the air. They had a .500 record with less than half their games left. Now they hold a 9-6 record after taking down Nauset, Holbrook, and Martha's Vineyard this past week, which is a great start, but with only 6 games left, and now they have a 10-2 Falmouth, a seemingly unstoppable Barnstable, and then Monomoy, who just took them to overtime on the 22nd, coming up in order this week. Those games won't be easy, but DY is currently ranked 34th in Division III, so they'll need to win at least 2 more games this year to remain above 500 and eligible for the state tournament. Monomoy lost another heartbreaker last Friday when they traveled to Martha's Vineyard. It came down to the last possession, and the Vineyard was able to hit a buzzer beater to take the game 55-53. Jackson Rocco led the Sharks with 29 points. They had no other games this past week, but tonight at 6 p.m., they'll host Cape Cod Academy, who they got their first win of the season against 2 weeks ago. Even with the 2-9 record, they ranked at 33rd in Division 4, making them only one spot out of contention for the state tournament. So if they piece together a few wins, they might be able to crack the top 32 and qualify for the state tournament, even with a record of below 500. The Barnstable girls lost a real close one to Falmouth last Friday, with a final score of 26-22. And they lost again on Wednesday when they hosted Plymouth North with a final score of 32-22, making it their 6th loss in a row. They have a 4-10 record, and with only 5 games left, they will most likely miss out on the state tournament. They host Nauset tonight at 6:30 p.m. In the past 5 games, DY girls are 4-1, with 3 of those wins coming with a 30-point margin. This past week, they maintained their undefeated conference record, with wins at Nauset with a final score of 54-24 and a home win over Martha's Vineyard with a final score of 74-41. Tonight, they travel to Falmouth for another conference game and a 6:30 start. With a 10-3 record, they were ranked 18th in Division 3 in the latest power rankings and have secured a spot in the state tournament. Last up, we got the Monomoy girls. Right now, they have a record of 5-7, but still have about 1/3 of their games left. They're 3-2 in their last 5 and have at least 3 games left on their schedule where they've already beaten the team earlier this year. This past Tuesday, they lost 49-32 to an 11-3 St. John Paul II. If they want a chance to extend their season, it's not too late, but they're going to have to get some help from the power rankings because there are still some daunting games ahead of them, like another run with the St. John Paul II team, a 13-1 Bourne team, and the DY girls. And that's it for this week's sports update. Back to you, Jamie and Suzanne.
Thanks, Ryan. The Yarmouth Winter Carnival is right around the corner, and the town of Yarmouth is seeking volunteers.
From February 15th through the 17th, you can give back to your community and help make the Winter Carnival a success by taking on one of the many rewarding volunteer opportunities. Visit YarmouthCapeCod.com for more information.
And thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org.
Make sure to tune in every Friday at 5:30 for more hyper-local news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV.
For Cape Media News, I'm Jamie Horton.
And I'm Suzanne Tenaire.